Hi, everybody. Welcome back to another week here at Wired Differently. We've got me, Christina Blue Hooper, your business designer, Victoria the Queen Caldwell, your fractional COO and expert of people systems, and mindset Melanie Branch, the expert at getting your brain tamed so you can do what you need to do. I'm really excited about this week's topic. So we're going to be talking about what to do when your market reach is limited. And I have so much fun with this because I actually like a limited reach, especially for an earlier stage business, where they get to actually connect with their target clients a little bit better. They get to have more conversations. They get to be a bigger fish in a smaller pond. So I think that aspect is kind of fun in a way that big businesses can't necessarily play in those areas, right? They can't do the same things a smaller business can. So I think that's kind of fun. I would like to hear you guys' initial thoughts on it as well. Like, Melanie, when we talk about like market reach being limited, what does that mean to you?
Instantly I go to social media because I have helped countless women who have built successful businesses without social media and, using word of mouth. And we've talked about this in the past, how, the first year of entrepreneurship is typically pretty good because you're exhausting your network. You're reaching out to people. You're like, this is what I'm good at. This is what I did. Everybody's excited for you because you're the underdog. Everybody likes the win of somebody who's just starting out. And then, they build these businesses and they're like, well, now it doesn't feel aligned. Now I don't feel fulfilled. Now I have to build my brand on social media. And I'm like, hell yeah, because you're already starting out. You have testimonials. You have, why can't I think of the word? We help people get case studies. There we go. You already have all that stuff. Now it's time to figure out your look, figure out what you want to let people in on and build that brand on social media. Let's go.
Ooh, I like that. What about you, Victoria? What does that mean to you, thinking about your market reach being limited?
Well, that was the first question I was going to say. What is your definition of limited? Because one person's definition of limited is not necessarily the other one. And what assumptions are you making in that? And I'll give you an example of what I mean. I was on a call yesterday, and there's this lady she made an assumption, and she was basically saying her market reach was limited. And she assumed, she's like, well, my social media following is only 100. My email list is, no, her email list was only 100 and her social media following was so low. But the catch 22 is that you need the social media to build your list. And when I mean social media, organic. And so the assumption she was making was that she absolutely had to do that and to build her list. And we were like, no, you don't have to. You can do other things to build your list. Yes, social media is following, but you don't want to think that's your only option.
Yeah.
You don't want to think that's your only option. If you do, you'll be stunted. For somebody like Melanie, that's easy. You go live to relax.
Yeah.
I can't even wrap my brain around how that could be relaxing.
You go live to relax, and the next person is stressed out going live. So they're not going to approach the going on social media the same way. And then you have someone who really doesn't want to talk to people, which you still have to talk to people. You have to get out. But I will say this. We look at the reach and all of the people we want to come into our world before we really start thinking about three things: who we are. And I mean, being clear on that, because a lot of people are not. Most entrepreneurs, especially early stages, are not. Who we are as individuals, as entrepreneurs, what we do, the transformation that we provide to this market, and three, who this market is.
Yeah. It's almost like the three main stages of the yellow brick road that we're building at the academy, right?
Right.
Almost like those are so important. We made it the first three things that every student needs to do.
And that's not an easy, it's not the easiest thing to do, and Melanie knows this better than all of us do, but Melanie knows it because she's getting into the mindset. Because when you say, well, do you want to work with these type of clients? No. Okay, then you need to be clear. It's not just about the people that that need your service. It's about the ones that you want to help or that you're here to help. It's not everybody. So you got to be very, very clear. And that's not the easiest thing to do. You really need a community of people who can ask you the right questions to draw that information out of you.
Yeah.
Because if you're just sitting behind a screen trying to figure it out, it's probably going to be very difficult, because you need people on the other side to ask you those tough questions to force that out of you. And when you have that information, then you can craft the right messaging that's going to attract those people. And you can
Messaging is important, but you also have to feel safe to be seen.
Yes. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. And I mean, our entrepreneurial identity is something that we create. Like, I call it a stage persona a lot of times. It's not that you're faking it. You're not trying to present to somebody that you're not, but it is an intentional persona, an intentional representation of you and your beliefs and your values and things like that, that you craft for this stage, whether it's social media, physical stages, whatever that may be. You're putting yourself out to the public. Even if it is a tiny little pond instead of the big ocean, it's still a public representation of you. It's a thing you get to craft and build based on what you want to put forth, which is exciting and terrifying at the same time. Right. Especially for, people that aren't really sure who they are, aren't really sure what their values yet. They're just getting started. Maybe they're younger. Maybe they're, just starting to break free from all the social conditioning, patriarchal norms, capitalist society norms, right? Like, and now you're like, I don't know what to do now. You get to create that person. That person gets to be whoever you want, right? And you get to step into them. And it is incredibly exciting to do some of that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
Axel brought up something called the law of resonance. I'm not familiar with that one myself. Are either of you?
If I'm correct, it has a lot to do with like who is going to resonate with you and who's not going to resonate with you, and how you present yourself is the only thing that you can control. I can't control what somebody thinks of my pink hair. I can't control what somebody thinks about my voice. Tom Holland said it best, the little Spider-Man. I love him so much. And he's dating my best friend, Zendaya, and she just doesn't know it yet. But he said, if you have a problem with me, text me. And if you don't have my number, you don't know me well enough to have a problem with me.
I like that. So it looks like law of resonance is a principle that states that everything in the universe is connected through vibrations, and like attracts like, right? So the frequency of your thoughts, emotions, and experiences will attract similar things to the outside world. I think there's a lot of truth to that. And I think the big example is we tend to like watching videos that are happy when we're seeking happiness.
Yeah.
And we tend to like watching, videos, movies, shows that are sad or dramatic when we're seeking sad or dramatic in our lives, which it seems like you wouldn't really seek sad or dramatic. But if you're used to that, when your life starts to get a little happier, a little bit more upbeat, right? The overall vibration of your life is increasing. We do kind of sometimes seek the comfort zone, the familiar zone of what we knew before, and start to kind of go back into those things. So we seek what we're longing for.
Yeah.
Kind of makes sense. I like it.
Yeah.
And he did bring up a good comment. Here's the fine line.
When you're out there on social and you're being authentic and true to who you are, you're going to attract people who resonate with you.
The right people.
The right people. And you'll get better if you decide to go the social. You'll get better over time.
Yeah.
And the way I like to think about social is, which don't take this as a representation of how much I'm on social media, is the way I look at it now is you're here to serve.
Yeah.
If you're here to serve and help people, then that's what you're here to do. And it's not about selling your service. Focus on serving the people that you are here to serve, and they'll come through. And I mean, it was a point in time when I did create some content and people would start reaching out and I would just stop because I didn't have the bandwidth to serve them. And so I stopped posting.
Yeah.
I didn't have the bandwidth to take on that many more clients or something. So I said, okay, I need a different strategy or whatever, because I didn't want to just keep telling everybody. I couldn't help them at the time.
Yeah.
But it's a great thing to do.
I like some of the comments that Axel's making too, because this is something that we hear a lot, right? He's not the first person to say some of these kind of things, especially when we talk about some of these topics. Like, I try and stop people from playing roles on any virtual stage. In the end, this eats up their power and attention. Yes and no, right? Like, I think there's the extreme. There's people who try and play a character that is inauthentic to who they are when they show up to represent as an entrepreneur. But then you've also got, especially, we tend to deal more with neurodivergent, ADHD, autistic entrepreneurs. And one of the traits that we suffer from, unfortunately, is oversharing. We will share details that the general public has no business knowing about our lives unless we set some guardrails in place ahead of times, right? We say that these kind of things are off limits. Like, I'm not going to talk about like my kids, or I'm not going to talk about my husband, or like Melanie will never see her husband on camera. He has no interest in being on camera, right? She will tell you that she worked in restaurants in the past, but she won't tell you which ones, right? Everybody's got things that we have to set some guardrails on and say, this is not who we want to be. You may be somebody who's going through a lot of life right now, and you have a lot of negative, and you have a lot of drama, and that's not who you want when you show up as an entrepreneur, right? You're not trying to attract people who are in the doldrums. You're trying to attract people who want out. You're trying to attract people who are ready to go to the next stage. What's that phrase, Melanie? You learned it from somebody the other day.
The speak to their desire, not their struggle.
Yeah, like reaching to people who aren't in the struggle, who are in the like seeking comfort or something like, I forget what the exact phrase.
If you use the word struggle all the time, if you're struggling with finishing a task, if you're struggling with you're going to attract people that are in the thick of that problem, and people that are in the thick of the problem aren't necessarily ready for not having the problem anymore. But if you speak to somebody's desires, then you know that they are actively seeking the change that they know they need to make.
That's a writer downer, y'all.
See, because of that kind of stuff, it changes how we show up. We do need a little bit of a stage persona to show up in when you've had a lot of life going on. I've had a lot of life over the weekend. I'm not bringing that into the show because it would bring a sadness and an energy that I don't want here. Right? That's not what the show is about. That isn't what I want to portray. So do I put on a slightly different air, a slightly different role for who I want to be as an entrepreneur so that I can do that and deliver for my audience what I promise? Yes. Right. So that's what we're talking about. We're not talking about like pretending, like if you're somebody who's a little bit more introverted, you're somebody who's a little bit more quiet, you're somebody who isn't going to be like, wow, guys, let's do this today. Right. You don't want to try and go from a quiet, more reserved person to welcome to Wired Differently. Here today, we're going to help you do. We're not trying to put on a persona that is not authentic to who we are, right? What we are trying to do is set some boundaries and be intentional about how we want to show up. Be intentional about the experience that we want to create. Be intentional about how we communicate information, right? Those are people tend to, when we say like, show up as somebody else on stage, that it tends to go the negative route, right? We're very anti-bro strategies. That's not what we're doing.
Well, I mean, even Tony Robbins, when he hops on stage and he's doing his weird clap and all that, that's not how he behaves when he goes out to dinner.
Right.
Yeah.
But it is who he is.
It is who he is. It is a part of who he is. Yeah. And I'm glad.
Yeah, and it's how he wants to motivate his audience. It's how he wants to connect. It's how he wants to get their attention and to get them off of their shit and into doing the right things.
Yeah.
It's how he breaks the stereotypes and breaks the thought patterns and gets them to think in a different way. It's intentional, right?
Yeah.
And that's really what we're talking about, is like, we're not talking about doing things as a knee-jerk reaction. We're talking about doing things because you've thought them through, because they are intentional, because we do think this is going to benefit your business, benefit your life, benefit your clients, et cetera, right? And let me move into one of our questions, because it kind of hits on this a little bit too. So we're looking at like creative ways to expand your audience authentically. All right, so I'm going to let Melanie kind of jump in on some of this, because you've grown a TikTok account to like 40,000 people, had it shut down, and then had to start all over again. And you're over 220K 5K, something like that now?
I
on
don't know.
this-
It got shut down while I was live on a Sunday afternoon with 45,000 followers 3 months after I had quit my job and gone full-time founder. It was traumatic. But I realized in that moment, I said, all right, ooh, did you hear the thunder? Holy moly. Right there in that moment, I said, all right, I got to grieve this loss and I got to start over. So you can grow any account to any size in any length of time when you really put your mind to it. I got my current account, I got to 1,000 followers in 5 days, 10,000 followers in 15 days. And then I went, cool, I can take my foot off the gas for a little bit and we'll just grow, not thinking about having to grow. So it's been a couple of years. I'm at 200 something thousand, but it's because I really like TikTok and I really like engaging authentically on the platform. You know, I haven't grown to a big size on LinkedIn because I can't bring myself to be interested in it more than once a month. I haven't grown to a gigantic size on Instagram because it just feels inauthentic on Instagram. And I certainly don't do anything on Facebook because it's the doctor's office waiting room of social media. I have no interest in it. So when you really think about how do I want to show up? Where are my people? Where can I build my ecosystems? What's the best route for me? You have to be thinking about engagement. The number one metric, there's two metrics that you really need to think about when you're creating content on any social platform: watch time and shareability. So when you're getting on ChatGPT and saying, hey, I need to come up with some content ideas, la, 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 I want them to be engaging so that they watch it all the way through. And I want.
Oh,
between points. There we go.
yeah.
Okay. What'd you stop hearing?
We got the first point and then we didn't get the second one. I want it to be engaging and
it has to be shareable. It has to be something that makes somebody go, oh my God, I have to send this to my bestie, or oh my God, I have to send this to my person. Whatever it is, it has to be shareable. Those are the only two ways that you can actually make content that impacts your community and grows your community at the same time.
I know one of the things on one of your lives the other day, you mentioned that you really don't get like those terrible trolly men in your lives anymore. What do you think you would credit with that, right? Because that's part of it, is not just expanding your audience size, but expanding with the right people. And most of the time, we actually see a shrink, right? We'll actually see like you have all these people, and as your message gets clearer, you actually shrink before you go up again.
Yes. I was actually just talking to a client about this. It's so funny that you ask. You have to be very, very, very clear with who the content is for. About a year and a half, maybe even 2 years ago, I created an off-the-cuff video that angered one specific part of the autistic community on TikTok. And we're talking, poor Christina, I was messaging her being like, oh my God, I don't even know what I'm going to do. And it was my first and only video to ever hit 1 million. And I ended up taking it down within 24, 36 hours because it had angered people that I don't even want in my life. So why am I letting them impact me so negatively? And Christina looked right at me and said, listen, you're going to have to be real careful about where you're putting your content and who you're targeting. And I was like, you got it. Never again will I make something so general. So you really have to think about, if I make content that specifically says neurodivergent female founders, and a man or a troll or a terrible human being who just gets on the internet to scream at strangers comes in there and says, ah! I can simply say, this wasn't made for you. I didn't tell you it was going to work for you. I said, this is who it's for. So if anybody else gets mad, I mean, they're just wasting their breath.
And you will have those.
Oh, yeah.
They have nothing else to do but waste their breath. And you can decide whether you want to engage or not.
Yeah.
And like we teach students at the academy, if you don't have those, you're doing something wrong. Right? Like that's a glimmer that you're doing something right. Because if you're not saying something that's different or polarizing or engaging enough to wake up your target audience, then you're also not going to trigger anybody. Right. So when we're triggering people, we're also saying something that is going to be different, unique, and wake up our target audience.
Yeah.
Especially when we're talking social, right? Because they're scrolling, and we have to say something or do something or behave in a way that they're going to be like, wait, say that again. Yeah. What was that? Huh?
Very true.
Right. We need that or we're not going to do it. Right. So expanding your audience authentically is really just getting true to who you are, not being afraid to say some things, right? Because a lot of times we shy away from our hot takes, our soapbox moments, our opinions, because we're afraid that they're going to be received negatively. We're afraid that we're maybe wrong about it or whatever, right? Start putting that stuff out into the world, adjust as you go.
Yeah.
I mean, I would like there to be this magical creative hat trick that we could give you that would help you expand your audience authentically. But the best trick that we can give you is show up authentically and talk to humans.
Yeah.
It's funny how that's like the theme of almost every show, isn't it? Like
it is the theme on every show, because we keep getting questions that that is, and it's really, you have to realize that your audience expansion is not limited to social. Again,
Yeah.
It's your network. It's the people. Like I'm a people person. I'm a connector. I like in-person interactions most of the time, sometimes. And
I like it occasionally.
Because, that's like,
That should show you something too, because Victoria is a social butterfly. She is somebody who will go hang out around people, and even she's saying I have limits to that.
I have limits is what that was supposed to say. But like, I just did this, a networking, it was a very intimate networking event Saturday night, and it was really nice. But that's my preferred way. That's my preferred way to connect.
Yeah,
it's my preferred way to connect. I like to be in the presence. I like to feel the energy. I like, that's where I feel most comfortable. So that's where I prefer to be.
Yeah.
It's not that I can't be the other places. It's just that one is a preferred way. So when I look at audience and network, I look at the direct relationships that a lot of times open the doors to other bigger audiences and everything. But it's like I was saying the other day, it's in a lot of whether it's business or whatever, it's a lot more about who you know than what you know.
Yes.
So
Yeah.
I like to focus, because it's the most authentic way for me to express, on those relationships, even if I build them one at a time. Because if I'm intentional about who I am, I can connect with people and let them know who I'm looking to connect with. And I'm great at building relationships. So I'm always getting connections to people who have connections to other people who have connections to other people.
Now you've really mastered your communication. She's a Gemini sun, everybody, so it shouldn't be surprising. But what Queen V has perfected is making people, she's very good at being interested in someone instead of trying to be the interesting person in the conversation. And this is a topic that's come up a lot lately for me. I've been watching The Later Daters on Netflix. If you haven't watched that, it's people in their 60s that are going on blind dates. Very interesting. I'm not going to lie. And there's a dating coach, and she talks about, don't be interesting, be interested in the person that you're talking to. And we see this all the time with Neuro-Spicy, neurodivergent women, especially, who have been the caretaker of everybody in their life for a long time, and they have never prioritized their own peace or comfort. And there's a lot of things that signal to me that they are still very dysregulated. They're still very much a people pleaser, whether it's they say something and they don't know how it lands, so they're like, ha ha ha, right after it, right? And it's like, this is not the way to network if you're clearly uncomfortable and you don't know how to conduct yourself. The lady, Christina, you sent me a couple of her TikToks, who was just on Diary of a CEO. I can't think of her name. Beautiful, dark hair. She communicates on how to communicate. Oh my God, figure out her name. She's incredible. She really helps you understand from the communication and body language standpoint that, we are fidgeters, especially the neurodivergent people and whatnot, and we are kind of not good with understanding our volume and things like that. But there is this level of, dare I call it, masking that you benefit from doing when you're in the networking space, where, you just have to have emotional control.
Nessa Van Edwards
Yes, check her out. Follow her on all platforms. She's got really interesting information. And my knee-jerk reaction is always, oh, well, I STEM, or, oh, well, I have auditory processing issues, so I'm this or I'm that. But if I want to be the influential female founder that I envision myself being, both now and in the future, I got to figure out how to conduct myself.
Yeah. Well, and I mean, you've got people like her that you can tell that all of this passion and research and stuff is coming from a place of she was struggling to do it, right?
Yeah.
It wasn't somebody that, and this is why it's so important to learn from people whose brains kind of think and work like yours. Because somebody who is a natural networker, people person, can talk, engage, and do things, they have to try and reverse engineer what they're doing because it's natural to them. They don't understand it. Right? But when you talk to somebody like her who said, I want to get better at this because I suck at it and I want to know what it's going to take to get better at, they do the research and they can take you from that same place of I don't know even how to start it to where they're at, being confident, comfortable, one of the world-renowned communicators, right? For somebody who struggled to communicate. Somebody who can take you on the journey is somebody who has already done it. Yeah. Either for others and they have proof or they've done it for themselves. And I mean, that's speaking to entrepreneurs too, right? A lot of times we think that we're not good enough, expert enough, experienced enough to do it. The thing that we do now and take for granted is somebody else's dream.
Right.
I would love to have a brain that works like Victoria's on like, how can I get this done? And I can just delegate and just blah, blah, blah. And it's just like, she just doesn't even understand why I have so much trouble with it. She just can't even wrap her brain around why it doesn't work for me. It's like, why do you do that? You think like that? That's what that won't work. And I'm like,
I promise you, I don't know that now. That when I say it.
It's like, I know that now, right? But I mean, what we're hearing is like, in terms of expanding your audience authentically, it's not just what you say, but it's where you say it and who you say it to. Right, because Melanie's loves going live on TikTok, posting TikTok videos. Victoria's over here, like, I love networking and doing things in person. I hate networking groups. They drive me crazy. I cannot stand getting together weekly and networking. I grew my business doing it in the beginning, way back when, BNI and all the like spin-off fake BNI groups. I like the things that are a little bit more learning and engaging. I would rather connect with people during an online challenge or connect with people at like Toastmasters where we're all trying to learn and grow together. And now we have something to talk about that's exciting because I love learning. So of course I would network easier at a learning function than I would at a networking function. Right. So it's what's true to you too. And that's what is so important. And, you guys heard Melanie, we laugh and make faces on how she talks about like Facebook and stuff being the doctor's office waiting room and social media, but she's found her spot. She's found a social platform that she really loves and enjoys. And she put her energy there instead of all the ones that everybody else is telling you should be over here because this.
And I had multiple coaches reach out to me when I first launched my business, and they were telling me, one was trying to get me to hire her and we would build on YouTube. And I said, I don't want to build on YouTube. I want to build on TikTok. And then the other one was like, I'm going to teach you how to build on Facebook. And I said, I don't want to build on Facebook. I want to build on TikTok. And guess what? Both of them are trying to do now. Build on TikTok.
And the thing is, and that's the thing with coaches, you got to find the right coach. But in order to find the right coach, you got to know who you are.
Yeah.
And where you're trying to go. It doesn't have to be 100% clear in the beginning because you will gain that clarity as you go forward and things will shift. But one thing is a lot of coaches only know how to teach you how to be a minion.
Yeah.
A mini version of them. This worked for me. So if you just follow the process, it'll work for you. And I fired so many coaches in the beginning because no one knew how to work with who I was authentically until I found the one. And we're still very close today. We're good friends today. But she didn't try to make me be something I wasn't.
Yeah.
And then shame me for not doing what they said to do their way when I said, this doesn't feel good. It's not authentic. And that's why authenticity, probably the trauma from that, is one of my core values. Because I don't want anyone feeling like they have to be anything other than who they are.
Yeah.
It's not going to be good for you, me, or anybody else. It's not the people you're here to serve. And if I'm supposed to help you serve, the last thing I'm going to do is help you get a whole bunch of people that you don't want to deal with.
Yeah. Well, I mean, that's why we make understanding your target audience such a huge part of what we're doing. Understanding not just, their demographical and their psychographical information, but like what they're actually trying to achieve in life. Right? What is this actual human out here trying to do? And what kind of curveballs are getting tossed at them? What are they having to dodge? What are they having to navigate? What are they having to do all the time? And how can we help? Because that's where we're actually starting to build better products and services, build better businesses, and get more from our businesses emotionally, mentally, as we start seeing people get these transformations, as we start literally changing lives. There is no greater high in business than changing a life, changing somebody's entire trajectory and where they were going, and seeing that glow up. Like, oh, there is nothing like it in business. And I have not met a single entrepreneur yet who doesn't get a high from that.
Yeah.
And they want to chase it more and more. And most of the time they just can't figure out how.
Yeah.
Right. That's it. Most of the time they can't figure out how to recreate that high if they've had it one time.
Yeah.
And there's a lot that goes into it. Now let's kind of switch gears a little bit, and let's look at the thing. We talked about how to do it right. And every time we talk about how to do it right, people hear how hard and time consuming and stress. I have to go talk to humans, lots of humans, over and over and over again. Everybody immediately says, well, there's got to be other ways. Bro Marketer A said I can run paid ads. Victoria sigh there. So as a recovering fractional CMO and marketer, Victoria, take your soapbox.
I love marketing. Just to be clear, I love marketing. It is, I just love it. And I think I love it. Now, I know why I love it, but let me get back to the question. The answer is yes, it could be. And it could also be, if you're targeting, if you do what we were saying to do correctly, and you have a goal, and you know who you are, and you're targeting the right people with the right messaging, you have the money to put into it, you can start from very, very low, but you got to have a system from turning that in and testing and tweaking. You don't just go throwing it out there. And this is what most people do, and why it's not worth it. If you're just throwing spaghetti at the wall, meaning just putting up stuff and putting on an ad and hoping for the best, that's not the best strategy. The best ads are very, very well thought out. They're almost eerily effective because they've done so much work before they even created the ad. And just what we were talking about, who you are, what transformation are you like. When I say transformation, let me make that even more clear. They come to you in a particular state. They want to get to a particular state, and the state that you can help them get to. Can you do that? Now your job is to communicate that you can get them to that state, and then have a process, because people don't typically buy immediately. Sometimes, like if you see stuff on like TikTok made me buy it or something like that. Yeah, those are the type of things. But for the vast majority, it's a process. It's a process, and you got to have a process of capturing their attention, engaging with them, connecting with them, communicating with them over time. It's like any other relationship building. But so many people want to just throw advertising out the, money at advertising, and they're just hoping that people click through and buy. And if that's your strategy, then no, it's not worth it. But if you have a real dialed in strategy, then I've helped generate millions with a good strategy. So
yeah, and it's usually more than just the initial ad. There's like retargeting ads and downsells and upsells, and there's usually a whole product stack involved. There's the initial ad. There's the people who watch the ad, click the ad, but didn't buy. Then you run retargeting ads. People that watch the ad but didn't click, and you run a retargeting ad. You get them on your email list. You upsell them to other things. Like when ads work, it's because you have a good product with the right messaging dialed in on the right things, and you know how to run ads, and you have an ad budget, and you're reviewing the data, and you're fine tuning and tweaking until you get something that works.
Yeah.
Right. And
it's the whole
ads are
strategy.
generally not a fast thing. I don't know what it is when people are like, well, I could go do all these things you're doing. I could, make content and I could have a podcast and I could go to networking groups and I could use collaborative content to, get in front of my target. All these things that we talk about, that sounds like that would take so much time. I want to just run ads. Y'all, for the love of every freaking thing holy, ads are not fast.
Yeah.
Ads are not fast. You go talk to any ad person, and one of the first things they do when they onboard you is they're going to set an expectation that you're going to throw away the first 90 days worth of money while they're figuring out what's going to work, right? They're fine-tuning it. They're figuring out how to run
And
your
training
ads.
the algorithms.
Yeah, I mean, it's like 90 days, best case scenario. Best case, 3 months. Typical is 6. So if you're thinking I'm going to run some ads to save your business, go fucking talk to humans please. You will lose maybe a tank of gas and the price of a lunch as opposed to $5,000 on ads for 3 to 6 months.
Yeah.
Get the other stuff right first.
Yeah.
Learn what people are going to connect to. Put some content out in the world. Go talk to humans. Figure out their messaging. Then run the ads. Run the ads
and then you
next, not first.
Away. Like it's like I said, I've seen millions lost, and I've seen and personally helped generate it. And it's not a simple. It's simple, but it ain't easy.
Right. And if that's not your thing that you know how to do, if you're not an expert of messaging, if you're not an expert in marketing, if you're not an expert in ads, I mean, we're talking about timelines and cost when the experts do it.
Yeah.
I don't even know, most entrepreneurs that I know that try and run their own ads don't even have the same product around 6 months, 9 months, a year later.
That's true.
Right? Like, let alone the same ad campaign.
Everything in the process. It's like trying to figure out who they are, who they want to serve. All they know is, and this is not any judgment, by the way. All you know is, I got this thing I want to sell and I want to get myself because I need to make some money.
Yeah.
That's it. That's about as clear as
all of our angsty is not about the people trying to do what they need to do to survive. It's about the bros out there taking the money and telling them this is the magic bullet that's going to help you survive. And we watch them go down all these things. When you're hearing us be angry, it's not at you guys for doing, things that are, it's not that. It's the people that are telling you to do those things.
Exactly. So they're
not understanding
tell you that, we have a whole team behind us that's doing this. And our job is to be the face and sell you the stuff.
We have 100,000 people on our email list. We had $1 million launch. You don't say.
Yeah. It's like you're not going to do $1 million launch on this magic email sequence that you bought if you have 5 people on your email list. I'm sorry.
You're going to do it without a team.
Yeah.
No, you're not going to do it if it's a product that you just created 2 months ago and you're constantly creating a new product every few months. New product, new service, new fancy thing. You're never going to learn how to message it. You're never going to learn how to get in front of the right people. You're never going to make sure that it gets the results, gets the case studies, gets the testimonials, creates the transformation if you throw it away every 2 months.
Yeah.
Right. And that's usually about the lifespan of most of the products that we see. They get it launched. Sometimes it doesn't even make it fully to launch before they've already moved on from it. Other times, launch involves maybe like a couple of emails, a few social posts about it, nobody buys, and then they move on.
Yeah.
If you truly spent the time making something that you think is helpful and good, put the time and effort into making sure people hear about it, which is,
which is why you have to be so clear about purpose, mission. What are you here to do? To where even if nobody buys, you're still going to show up and serve that community.
Yeah.
Now you still got to make money, but that's going to come. But if it's just about making money and you don't really care, or you haven't really dialed that in, then maybe you need to attach it to something that is a greater pull, fulfillment.
Yeah. Well, and I mean, you're not going to get where you want to go if you're constantly trying to sell something just to keep the lights on. Right.
Yeah.
You come at sales from a different standpoint. That's where it's like, I don't love people going and getting the dreaded muggle jobs. But like, if you really truly need to put food on the table, don't sabotage your business and do stuff that's going to hurt your reputation, hurt your business. Go get a muggle job. Go get a side job. Give it the least amount of effort possible to get a paycheck, pay your bills, and then grow your business.
Or if you're still working a muggle job while launching your business, There's what's her name? Cody something or other. She's a really big entrepreneur. Cute. Yeah. She actually covered this on her TikTok the other day. They did a bunch of research, and the long-term success of entrepreneurs was better and more likely if you kept your muggle job while launching your business because, and this is the theory, you're a lot less likely to make a hasty decision or throw something out there that you don't truly love when you do have that steady income coming in.
Yeah. Well, and you're making decisions the same way an entrepreneur who is successful is making decisions.
Yeah.
Right. When you try and decide, like, do we shelf this product or do we double down on it? Do we, keep it? Do we change it? Do we change our messaging? Do we change our products? Do we hire people? Do we take this client or not take this client? Somebody whose calendar is so booked up that they literally only have the space for one more client is a lot more discerning in who that one client's going to be, right? We're not going to take the first person who throws a credit card at us. We're going to take somebody that we truly think we can help and that we enjoy spending time with.
Yeah.
If you're an entrepreneur who's starved and struggling to pay the bills, you're not going to be discerning. And what that's going to do is all the things we talk about. It's going to sabotage your business from the inside out because you've got a client you can't stand. They're sucking out all of your energy, which means you don't have enough to give, especially if you're working a muggle job. If you've got like kids, if you've got, family, if you've got, 3 or 4 good clients and this one rotten egg, that one rotten egg is all you can focus on. Everybody else gets hurt. Right? Because we just can't make the right decisions because we're making decisions out of fear instead of making decisions intentionally.
Yeah.
And even if you are in a situation where you do have your business, you don't have a job, it's hard to go get a job again for reasons, tons of them, right? You can still make these decisions as if you were somebody whose time is not unlimited, because it's not. Yeah. Somebody who cares about actually making an impact, because you probably do. If you're listening to us for 40 something minutes at this point, you probably are somebody who cares about humans. You're people who loves people, as one of our new mentors says it, right? Clients aren't trophies, as one of our other mentors said, which is good. You're somebody who thinks about it differently. And if you're letting scarcity and fear cloud your decision-making skills, it's not going to go well. It's just not. So you can take a second, breathe, get your mindset on straight, join the academy, come hang out with Melanie for a minute, let her help you get your mindset on straight and work your way through it.
Yeah.
Right. And that kind of leads us into this next question that we've got going on here. Like, how can I find and connect with people that need what I offer, but do not know I exist? All right. Because we have this period of just screaming into the void, being like, buy my thing.
And that's what I was kind of alluding to in the beginning, that you see who need what I offer, but don't know about me yet. The thing is, there are a lot of people who might need what you offer. And have you gotten clear on who the people you want to serve are? And usually when that kind of question comes through, it's not. It's not. Because I think we've already beat the pound. It's okay. I'm very clear on who I'm targeting. I know what I want to do. I know what I want to serve, but they don't know about me. But you haven't talked to people. There's absolutely no way that you can not talk to people. You can talk to people and then have somebody who doesn't know who you are. If you do enough communicating, whether you do it in the way I do it with connecting, or whether you do it the way, it's all connecting. If you do it live and going on social media, primarily like Melanie or me, preferring to do the networking in person or whatever, there are communities, there are people. All you have to do is say, look, this is what I'm doing. This is what I'm looking for. And you can post a simple post on your social media, like your personal. And
Qasim did that. Remember when Qasim went on LinkedIn? It was maybe a year ago, and he goes, listen, I got this idea for this program. I have no promises about how it's going to turn out, but he was just up front and like this and this and this and this. DM me if you're interested. That thing was super duper successful for him. Everybody DM'd him. He had to put out another post that was like, hey guys, I can't, no more DMs.
Yeah. I mean, it's not, we overcomplicate it. And sometimes the simplest things are the things that work the best. And I love that, because I don't want to work any harder than I have to.
Mm-hmm.
That's why I delegate. But it also is not productive.
Yeah.
You know, I was working with a client and I was like, you're working 10 times as hard. You're burning yourself and everyone out to get a fraction of the results.
Yeah.
Not even
Everybody's not following this conversation. We are talking about not building the product until after you've already got interest and sold it.
Yep.
Oh yeah, definitely.
Right. And most of the people on our audience are likely to be putting all this time into building something in isolation without having ever talked to their target audience, without having ever vetted this idea. They've put dozens and dozens of hours, right? Like, people think building courses is super fast. Like, Melanie, you just built your iconic course. That was not fast, was it?
I mean, by building it, do you mean I came up with the ideas and then I messaged you and said it's ready to build on the website?
Something I would do.
Yeah. That's with a tech person to help, right? Like, your typical course is going to take you about 2 to 3 weeks to build. You're looking at somewhere in the vicinity of 40, 60 hours of work to build a simple course. Nothing as robust as like this Yellow Brick Road course. It's going to be my legacy enshrined at this point. That thing's massive. Right. We're talking something that's like 3 or 4 lessons that somebody complete in a couple of hours. It's probably going to take you anywhere from 30 to 60 hours to create, depending on your tech skills, how many times you created courses, if you struggle making slides, if you struggle editing videos, blah, 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 blah. Right. You're looking at anywhere from 30 to 60 hours.
Not to mention the time spent promoting it, the time spent, you know, my course is do it yourself, but I go in there and I message everybody and I say, hey, it looks like you've been stuck here for a little bit. Do you have any questions? And I also have an affiliate program. So I say, hey, you signed up for the affiliate program. What's your plan for marketing this? Do you need any of my help? Because what you say about my course deeply reflects me. And I want to make sure that you're going to get through it. And then you're going to be able to like tell everybody about it in the best way possible. So you really got to be ready to roll up your sleeves and help people along the process, right? I don't know if it's going to be a year from now or 6 months from now, whatever it is, where people are, you know, chomping at the bit to get my course, but I know that I'm going to have to be involved in that process.
Yeah. And I mean, imagine putting all of that time in and you haven't even talked to a single human to make sure that this is something they want. You haven't put any time and effort into building an audience, so you're marketing it into the void anyway, because you don't have an audience to market it to most of the time. And you have no idea if this is something they even want. And that if it would even help solve the problem that they're trying to solve, right? Most people put all that time and effort in before doing those things, which is where Victoria's coming in on her soapbox. I just needed to like slow that down so people could understand where we're getting to on this, right? We're trying to, when Victoria says, I'm trying to do the least amount of work possible, we all nod along. Yeah, of course. Of course. I want to make the most money with the least amount of work. That's totally logical. But start pre-selling something before I've even built it?
Yeah.
That doesn't make sense. That's, y'all, seriously, it's the same thing. Sell it before you've built it is the same as I want to do less work and make more money. It's the
Plus, you're also going to have that deadline pushing you forward, because we know if you're neurodivergent and there's not a timeline, there's no urgency. But if you're putting it out here going, oh my God, guys, this is coming out next. We're going to release it one at a time. We're going to do this. We're going to do that. You're never going to believe it. La, 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 da, 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 da. Everybody wants in now.
Well, and it's really hard to doubt if it's going to work or not when you have this little focus group of people that is waiting on it to launch.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They want
are willing, because when you're doing this whole thing with, you know, it's like, is that ethical? Yes, it's ethical, because you're telling people that it's not built yet, and you're going to help me create this.
And people like to be the OG. They love that. They want
to be in that, because now it's like, oh my gosh, I get to be in on the ground floor. That means you're going to address my exact issues.
Yeah. And are we saying that everybody likes being an OG? No, but the ones who raise their hands and say yes when you put out posts like that, these are the early adopters. These are the OGs, the people who raise their hand in that situation. And there's studies done on this. You can see charts on this. There's the early adopters, there's the just in times, and then there's the ones who are a little behind the curve. Mm-hmm. Yeah. When you put something out brand new, we're not saying everybody and their brother loves being an OG. They don't. Yeah. The ones who hand raise and DM you, they do.
And here's
Yeah.
the
They
thing.
contribute in a
If you
different
get
way.
10, you're doing great. That's
Yeah.
all you need you only need one for proof of concept. If one person says and they buy, you got proof of concept. Now, whether that person is the person you want, that's another story for another day, but you should at least have done some research on that before you do that. But when you raise your hand, when they raise their hand, you got some proof of concept, and then they buy into it because you set a price. It's going to be half, let's say half of what you're going to go to market with, and you get all of that feedback. But you have to also, and nestled in this is the assumption that the people you're selling to, the people that you're going out and talking to, are actually people that you want to give you money.
Yeah.
Which is why you got to sell something. Because I have worked with those who build out a whole program for people who are not, they like, yeah, we want it. And they're willing to use the thing, but they're not the people that's going to give them money. Hadn't talked to a single person who's going to give you money.
Yeah.
And that's why I had to make that key distinction, because who is the person you expect, especially if you got a double-sided audience, and one audience is the ones who are going to be using it, and the other one is the audience that's going to benefit from it.
Mm-hmm.
It's like, okay, the one that's going to be benefiting from the audience is the one that's going to be paying me. Think about like Facebook. Advertisers pay Facebook. The majority of users are not paying Facebook to use it. So if you're only going out to the ones who are using it and who are never going to run a single ad, you can get a lot of people say, yes, that's a great product. They're never going to give you money.
Yeah.
So
you need
it's
people
not
to actually put money down. So you're talking to the right people, right? Because there's people who think something's interesting. And then there's people who think that is what I need in my life. Take all my money. We want to talk to the ones that are actually going to put money down. And, I talk about this one a lot. Content-Based Networking by James Carberry, collaborative content. That book is incredibly helpful. If you haven't read it yet, you should. But the concept is talking to people. And in the course of talking to people, you can go ahead and create marketing. You can create content using their words, right? You go find your ideal target audience and you say like, hey, I would love to interview you for my blog article. I would love to interview you for my podcast. I would love to interview you for my live show. You get a chance to talk to people that are potential clients or are potential referral partners. You start to get more information, collect more information. You get more words about their problems, their goals in their language instead of yours, which is incredibly important. And in the course of getting to talk to them, they get to know you and they get to know what you do. And some of them are going to become clients and some of them are going to become referral partners. Like Bernie Borges uses that strategy. And he said he's able to convert about 50% of the people he interviews for his podcast into clients. Right? This makes it a numbers game. It's just a numbers game. If you don't know how to find and connect with people that need what you offer but don't know about you yet, it starts by reaching out and talking to humans. Genuinely, authentically, because you're interested in having a conversation and learning. We're not talking cold DMs, buy my thing, right? We're talking about like maybe cold DMs, but cold DMs like, hey, this thing that you're doing seems really pretty fascinating. I would love to hear more about it. Or like, maybe your target client is manufacturers. I saw that you won XYZ award this year. You had to be doing something pretty cool in order to get that. I would love to hear more about it. Can we hop on a call?
Yeah.
Right. And then you're getting to know more about them and what matters to them and what's important to them. And this cat over here is.
Oh, it's your cat. I thought it was. I was like, is that my cat?
No, it's mine. It's that little one that we rescued. It's feeding time and the door's not opening fast enough. My kid's feeding them and like not opening the door and putting the food in fast enough. So she has opinions about it.
How quickly we forget our roots, huh? Anyways, there is also, this is something that I do a lot when I'm feeling low energy and I'm laying down in bed. I will go comment on other creators' content, valuable stuff for them, like, oh my God, I love this post. I've also used XYZ. Especially this is coming off the heels of everybody and their mother messaging me videos about histamine and PMDD and all this other stuff. And they're like, oh my God, did you know this? And I'm like, I talk about this all the time. They're like, you never told me. And I said, oh shit, well, let me go comment on all this stuff and let me write this down because this is definitely content that I need to make. If you can provide entertainment and value and reassurance on other people's stuff, people are going to go scope you out.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yep. And you can go ask questions, and you can even help other people make content, which kind of, I want to lean into this last question. And we've only got a couple minutes left here before we got to head over to campus and run our Pomodoros. But this one's one a lot of people also tend to think of as a shortcut, right? If I can get the right partners, I won't have to go do X because my partner will do it, or blah, 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 blah. You're looking at 3 partners right here. So I feel like we're incredibly qualified to speak on this. A partner's not a magic bullet.
No.
They're not somebody who's going to step in and immediately fix the thing that you are screwing up. I wish it worked that way. God, that'd be glorious if I could just bring someone in and that problem would just solve itself. You have to learn to work with another person. You have to learn what each other's strengths are. You have to learn what each other's weaknesses are. You get to learn about like what their hair triggers are when you say the wrong thing and they're like, excuse me? Right? Like you learn all the things. We all have them. Like, you know, and they can be incredibly healing sometimes. Like the first time me and Melanie got in a like with like claws out and we just hung up on each other. We knew we were coming back and that felt so good.
Yeah.
It's like, I know it wasn't over. We're good. It's fine. We're coming back. We're just going to have a cool down. Then it's all good. Right.
It's also when we discovered how sensitive you are to a ring light, if you remember correctly.
Oh yeah. Yeah. Cause I got real just irritated one day. Didn't even know why. I got all mad at Melanie, hung up on her. And then like an hour later, I was like, I just realized I left my ring light on all day. And that's why I was a little more irritable than what I wanted to be. Melanie's like,
Wow. I didn't know about that.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it's when you get overstimulated, right? So like for a neurotypical, if you imagined like putting a handful of rocks in your shoes and then walking 10,000, steps, you wouldn't be very like happy-go-lucky, cheerful by the end of that, right?
I have a little.
You'd be irritable. You'd be grumpy. We do that with just like I'm wearing the wrong texture shirt today.
Yeah, it's kind of like when you're boiling water on the stove, you hear the water boiling in the pot, but like before you see it, you hear like the rumble. If you're overstimulated, you're already rumbling and your lid is on and it's not going to take much for the steam to pop that lid right off, right? So you really got to be aware of your surroundings. For me, it's noise. Noise is the thing that's really going to overstimulate me really, really fast. And everybody in my life knows it, which is why I wear headphones all the time. But I mean, again, if there was a magic bullet, everybody would be a millionaire.
Yeah. Yeah. And that's what, it kind of ties into what I was saying in the beginning, that self-awareness.
Mm-hmm.
Because imagine you got this group of people who you can help, who really need your service, but they trigger you.
Yeah.
All the time. They're not the right people. And you have to know that, because something like that, or you have to create your communities or whatever in a way that honors who you are and your needs.
I have a great example of that, actually. So there was this lady who helps people post-divorce, right? Like helps women post-divorce find out who they are, get their life back established, gain control over all, et cetera, et cetera. And in the beginning, she really, really liked it because she was recently divorced and had recently gone through that journey herself. But when she started getting further along and she was more emotionally regulated and she was in that, post stage where it's a lot of fun, we're enjoying life, we're boss bitch energy, we're great. Being in a room full of recently divorced people was torture. She's like, y'all just need to get over yourselves. And get over right? Like, what is happening? And it was so stressful for her. And she ended up having to completely change her business to something, completely different. Because what was lighting her up and enjoying her and being around her people ended up being, this is the dysregulated, not fun group. And I want to be in the fun group because I'm at the best point of my life now. Right.
Yeah.
So that's something to think about too. And I think we all kind of talked on this too. So I want to shine a spotlight on it for half a second. Most people are approaching partnerships from the, what am I lacking and who can fill that need? I don't necessarily think that's the best way to approach it. Because that's disrespectful to your partners and their capabilities and all their skills to just think of them as like a peg in your missing puzzle piece, right? Like that was like two different metaphors I just smashed together in one. That was bad. Right. But anyway, so like what you really should be doing is looking at your target client, looking at what they need. So like if we're trying to get them from here to here, and I can do this part, but this part, they need. And I don't want to do that. I can't do that. It's not my thing. Now we're uniting with a mission to get person from A to B. Right. And like, that's really what the sticking power of like me and Melanie and Victoria's partnership has been, because we approach the same problem with different strengths.
Yeah.
You know, you're an entrepreneur who's trying to get to this level of success and scalability and financial independence and stability and all this kind of stuff. And you have to work on your mindset stuff. You have to work on your ability to delegate and keep up with what's going on in your business and keep your business healthy. And you have to be intentional about the decisions you're making. Right? We're all coming at it solving those things.
Yeah.
So if you're solving for your customer's journey, your partnerships are generally going to work better, and they're going to help you reach more of the right people, because we can have an entrepreneur who's like trying to do that and they're stuck and they're like, I don't think I'm selling the right things to the right people, or I don't really know what to do or what my business even needs to be. Hi, come talk to me. You're going to resonate with my stuff. Right? If you're somebody who recognizes your brain is getting in the way and constantly sabotaging yourself, you're going to seek out Melanie first. If you're somebody who's struggling to delegate, to like get your people systems in place that is constantly burning out employees, you can't keep anybody in there doing things, you can't get the results you want out of your employees, you're going to be looking for Victoria. But what's the thing you need? All three of us. So when you get done with one of us, what are we going to do? We're going to point you at the other one. We're going to point you at whichever one is next.
Yeah.
We might even send you over there for a little like vacay and then come back.
Yeah.
Like, this is what I think you need to do with your business. Your brain's getting in the freaking way. Go talk to Melanie. I'll see you again in 4 weeks or 6 months or whichever program you need to get into. Go do that and come back. Talk to you then.
Yeah.
Right? Victoria deals with people who have no idea what they're doing in their business. And she's like, I'm not going to help you scale chaos. I'm going to do more of what's not working. Go play with Christina.
Yeah. They're like, I want to do more of what's.
It's amazing how many people want to do more of what's not working. That is a pretty common theme. It's pretty screwed up. There is a way too much of that. Way too much of that.
It's more than you think. He's like, okay, do you love this? Now I have to ask this question.
Yeah.
Okay, so is this a business that you love? No, but it pays the bill. Okay. So you want to do more of what you hate.
Yeah, it's like, go get a job. If you're going to work all day and not like it, just go get a job. You'll have better financial security for a while. I mean, it's really hard to make money when you don't like what you're doing every day. I mean, quite frankly, you're not going to do what you need to do to market it. You're not going to need to do what you need to do to sell it. You're not going to do what you need to do to make sure it's delivering on the promise. You're not even going to make a promise because you know it's not going to deliver on anything. So you pull back your marketing and say only the safe things.
Yeah.
It just turns into a whole thing. And if you're resonating with any of that, head over to Neuro-Spicy-Academy.com and join for free today, where you get all three of us, because you need all three of us, plus the other people that we're bringing along for the ride to help mentor you and guide you in all of the things that you're struggling with and trying to get wrong, so that you can have financial freedom and success and dependability out of your business and actually be making a change in people's lives, right?
Yeah.
So head on over there. We're heading over there right now to campus to go run the Pomodoro sessions. I'm 3 minutes late again. All right. See you guys. Until next week. Bye. Button.